Hello, and welcome to another Big Orbit Cards unboxing video. I'm Chris, and today we have the new Magic the Gathering booster set, Eternal Masters. So, just gonna start opening. For those that may not know about the set, it contains lots of reprints of cards that will be available for use in Legacy, Vintage, and Commander. So, very nice artwork. The box contains 24 boosters. It's basically enough to do a typical draft of 8 people, so 3 boosters each. The whole set is basically designed around doing drafts. So, let's get opening. So, let's move this back a bit as well. So, Rally the Peasants, Deathbridge Shaman. Not going to talk too much about the commons and uncommons. We'll go mostly to the rares and things. Sylvan Might, Jungle Hollow. There's quite a few of the dual lands in this set. They're all commons, and basically they're the ones where you gain a life when they enter, and they tap for 2 different kinds of mana. Nice Tidal Wave. Put a 5/5 blue wall creature onto the battlefield. Tragic Slip. Such a good card. I love this one. So, yeah, target creature gets -1/-1 to the end of turn, or if a creature already died this turn, -13/-13 for 1 black. Yeah, it's really good. Another dual land, Curd Ape, and Glimmerpoint Stag. So 3/3 Vigilance for 2 white and 2 colourless. When it enters the battlefield, exile another target permanent. It's pretty good for 4. Tooth and Claw. A Messy Tomb. And the rare is a Duplicant. So it has imprint, and as long as the card exiled with imprint is a creature card, Duplicant has the power, toughness, and creature types of the last creature card exiled with Duplicant. It's still a shapeshifter. So, pretty interesting one. 6 mana, but you get the benefits of the exiled creature. We also have a nice foil, Skulking Ghost, because foils are shiny, and we like shiny things. And a token. Speaking of the Skulking Ghost, we have a non-foil one as well. So, some interesting cards so far. Another dual land, Counterspell, yay. Does exactly what it says on the tin, really, just counter target spell. Gitu Slinger has Echo. There's quite a few different like archetypes in the set as well. So several of the older abilities and things coming back in. So we have Echo. Lise Alana Scarblade. Discard an elf. Target creature gets -X/-X until end of turn, where X is the number of elves you control. That could be pretty nasty in an elf deck. Ticking Gnomes. Yeah, who doesn't like gnomes, right? So again, has Echo, and sacrifice it. Deals 1 damage to target creature or player. Our rare is a Heritage Druid. Very nice card. It's 1 green for a 1/1. It's an elf druid, and tap 3 untapped elves you control, add 3 green to your mana pool. It's just great ramp, really. And the foil, now there is actually 1 foil in every pack, so there's going to be a lot of shinies in this video. So this is days, so you may return an island you control to its owner's hand rather than play its mana cost. Counter target spell unless its controller pays 1. Can be pretty useful. And a Goblin Soldier, one of the new tokens. So it's a red-white 1/1 Goblin Soldier token. And really bad at opening packs. So, Avarax. Aiden Riftwatcher. Urborg Uprising. Return up to 2 target creature cards from your graveyard to your hand and draw a card. That's pretty solid. Sylvan Might. +2/+2 and trample, and has flashback, so be using it again. Pilgrim's Eye, so flying, 3 mana, 1/1 with flying. When into the battlefield, you may search your library for a basic land card, reveal it, put it in your hand, and then shuffle your library. So good for searching for that particular land drop you need. There's a lot of targets that you could use that for, and because it says land rather than basic, it actually says basic land, helps if I read. Okay. Tranquil Cove, another dual land. Invigorate, if you control a forest, rather than pay Invigorate's mana cost, you may have your opponent gain 3 life. Yeah, so gain 3 life to give one of your creatures +4/+4. It's pretty good trade-off, I think, instead of paying 3. Animate Dead. That is a lot of text on a very small card. So, yeah, this is basically return a creature from your graveyard with the enchantment, but the enchanted creature gets -1, -0. I also said your graveyard, it's actually any graveyard. So your opponent has a creature you want, just steal it. It's great. War Priest of Thune. Enters the battlefield, you may destroy target enchantment. That is pretty good, especially in this set. I mean, it's a 2/2 for 2 already, and has, in this set, a relevant enter the battlefield effect. Although in Legacy or Vintage, it may not always be applicable. Imperious Perfect. So other elves you control get +1/+1 and pay 1 and tap it. Put a 1/1 green elf warrior creature token into the battlefield. So yeah, it basically gives you a 2/2 elf warrior every time you pay 1 and tap it, because it's giving all your other elves +1/+1. Only costs 3 mana, and it's a 2/2, so pretty good card. And the foil is a Duress. Duress is a pretty good card. Target opponent reveals his or her hand, you choose a non-creature, non-land card from it, that player discards that card, and it only costs 1 black. So, pretty good for control, or just, sideboard it in any black deck really, because sometimes you really don't want your opponent to have that particular card that they really need. So Ballynock Cohort. That's pretty good for 3 mana. Has first strike, so that's always useful. So 1 white, 2 colourless for a 2/2 that gets +1/+1 as long as you control another white creature. So generally it's going to be a 3/3 and has first strike. You can't complain at that. Blightsword Druid, pay 1 life and add green to your mana pool. Also very good ramp, and it's black, which you know, it's useful. Peregrine Drake. So, costs 5 mana, 1 blue, 4 colourless, has flying, and when Peregrine Drake enters the battlefield, untap up to 5 lands. It's a 2/3. You're essentially getting it for free. Or if you kind of cheat it into the battlefield, you can just untap the lands anyway, and just, yeah, it's a pretty solid card. Although, obviously, for 5 mana, it's more of a later game kind of thing, and the body isn't that big for 5 mana, but the enter battlefield effect is, yeah, it's fairly solid. Reckless Charge, awesome artwork on that. Yeah, just flying out of a mountain or volcano. Target creature gets +3/+0 and gains haste until end of turn, and it has flashback. So, again, you'd be using it multiple times. Another dual land. Elephant Guide. Who doesn't like getting elephants, right? 3 mana, enchanted creature. Enchanted creature gets +3/+3, and when the enchanted creature dies, put a 3/3 green elephant creature token onto the battlefield. So you're paying 3 for a +3/+3 immediately, and then also an extra body when that creature dies. So, solid card. Coalition Honor Guard. While choosing targets as part of casting a spell or activating an ability, your opponents must choose at least 1 flag bearer on the battlefield, if able. So, as it says, it's a human flag bearer. So, it's kind of like Taunt, almost. It's pretty good. Merfolk Looters. 2 mana, draw a card, discard a card if you tap it. Fairly solid cycling. Honden of Life's Web. So there are several Hondens in this set, 1 for each colour. And at the beginning of your upkeep, put a 1/1 colourless spirit creature token onto the battlefield for each shrine you control. So, like I said, there's 1 for each colour. Each one is a legendary enchantment shrine. Yeah. At worst, you're getting a 1/1 colourless spirit token. Just 1 at the beginning of your upkeep if you only have this out, but obviously it gets better the more you have. Blood Artist. Whenever Blood Artist or another creature dies, target player loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. So, fairly solid for 2 mana. 1 black, 1 colourless, and it's a 0/1, but you can just have it on the battlefield, and every time one of your creatures dies, your opponent's losing out, and you're gaining. Maelstrom Wanderer, our first mythic. It's a pretty interesting card, actually. So it's a legendary creature, Elemental. Has an 8 converted mana cost, so 1 green, 1 red, 1 blue, and 5 colourless. Creatures you control have haste. Excellent. And it has Cascade and then Cascade again. So Cascade is when you cast this spell, exile cards from the top of your library until you exile a non-land card that costs less. You may cast it without paying its mana cost. So you're essentially paying 8 mana to get 3 spells out. So you're automatically getting a 7/5 creature that gives all of your other creatures haste. And then you're also getting 2 others, which you probably won't know what they are, but it's still, yeah, pretty good. And the exiled cards that you, or the cards that you exiled, they go on the bottom of your library in a random order. So, fairly solid. And we'll put that there. Prowling Pangolin is our foil. So when it enters the battlefield, any player may sacrifice 2 creatures. If a player does, sacrifice Prowling Pangolin. So, has a converted mana cost of 5, 2 black, 3 of any other, and it's a 6/5, so it's a pretty solid body for 5 mana. But has a potential to backfire if your opponent is playing tokens. But otherwise, you're going to 2 for 1, just by casting it, if they choose to actually sacrifice creatures. Otherwise, you're just getting a 6/5 body, which is nothing to complain about. And there's our elephant token. Who doesn't like elephants? And I apologise if I'm waving cards around a little bit. Not used to the camera setup. So Carrion Feeder, it 1 mana, 1 black. It's a zombie, it can't block, but you can sacrifice a creature and put a 1/1 counter on Carrion Feeder. So it's, yeah, pretty solid for a 1-drop. Nothing too spectacular, but it is an outlet for actually putting creatures in your graveyard, which in a reanimate deck is pretty useful. Wildfire Emissary has protection from white, and you can pay 1 red and 1 of any other to give it +1/+0 until end of turn. Welcome Guide, possibly one of the least useful cards in the set in my opinion. So it costs 5, 1 white, 4 of any other. It's a bird cleric, it has flying, and when it enters the battlefield, target creature gains +2/+2 and gains flying until end of turn. The downside is it's only a 2/2, so you're essentially getting permanent 2/2 and with flying, and a 1 turn +2/+2 flying buff on one of your other creatures, or technically one of your opponent's creatures as well. So it's situational, not great. Deadbridge Shaman, when it dies, target opponent discards a card. Gaseous Form, really nice artwork on this. So enchant creature, prevent all combat damage that would be dealt to it and dealt by enchanted creature. This is actually a really interesting card. So cost 3. You can use it on your own creature to give you basically an indestructible blocker, or if your opponent has a huge creature, you can enchant that to basically negate the damage it would be dealing you. So it's a pretty versatile card. Thornwield Archer has reach and death touch. That's pretty solid for 2 mana. It's only a 2/1, but it has death touch. You don't need the power and toughness. Glacial Wall. Llanowar Elves, an old favourite of people who've been playing for years. So costs 1 mana, and it's just amazing ramp, really. Some people have even said that it's too good for 1 mana. In these days we have the 2 mana version, but still, solid card. Seal of Cleansing, sacrifice Seal of Cleansing, destroy target artifact or enchantment. That is fairly solid in this particular set if you're drafting, because there are a lot of enchantments and a lot of artifacts, and some very powerful artifacts in the set. So that's a way to get rid of them. Firebolt, 1 red, it's sorcery speed, so not quite as good as if it was instant, but deals 2 damage to target creature or player and has flashback 5. Burning Vengeance. Whenever you cast a spell from your graveyard, Burning Vengeance deals 2 damage to target creature or player. This is pretty solid. I mean, 3 mana for something that just will keep giving your other spells. Well, as you see, basically, like Firebolt has flashback, so you can cast Firebolt, deal 2 damage, but actually deal 4 damage with this. So yeah, pretty good. Sprite Noble, 3 mana, 2 blue, 1 of any other. It's a fairy, and it has flying. Other creatures you control with flying get +0/+1, and you can tap it to give other creatures you control with flying get +1/+0 until end of turn. So it's fairly solid. If you're playing like white-blue with flying, it's pretty good to like buff the toughness and tap it to, you know, deal that extra damage as well. Yeah. Trigon Predator. So 1 blue, 1 green, 1 of any other. It's a beast, 2/3 with flying. When it deals combat damage to a player, you may destroy target artifact or enchantment that player controls. So again, very solid in the set, because you probably need some artifact or enchantment hate to deal with what some people will be playing. So very, very useful card. So our rare is a Karmic Guide. Costs 2 white and 3 of any other. It's a 2/2 with flying and protection from black. So fairly useful. Has Echo, so you'll need to pay the Echo cost on your next turn as well. Unless somehow you manage to lose control of the creature and then gain control of it again, in which case you won't. But when it enters the battlefield, return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. So it's just really, really good enter the battlefield effect. And only 5 mana. The foil is Seal of Cleansing. So sacrifice Seal of Cleansing, destroy target artifact or enchantment. We've covered that one before, but now we have a nice foil version of it too. Trying not to kill the cards while I open these packs, but it's not going very well. Mog War Marshal. I love the way the Mogs are back as well. So we have 1 red, 1 of any other. Has Echo as well, so again, you'll need to pay the Echo cost on your following turn. When it enters the battlefield or dies, put a 1/1 red goblin creature token onto the battlefield. So you're paying 2 to get a 1/1 body for a turn at least, and a goblin token. But when it dies, you also get a goblin token. So you're essentially paying 2 for 2 goblin tokens at worst. At best, you get to keep this as well, and you'll have 3/3 worth of stats over 3 bodies for 2 mana, which is pretty good. Desperate Ravings. So draw 2 cards, then discard a card at random. Yeah, card draw for red. Always has a downside. Also has flashback if you pay 1 blue and 2 of any other. So this is obviously designed for red-blue decks. A Civic Wayfinder. So 3 mana, 2/2. When it enters the battlefield, you may search your library for a basic land card, reveal it and put it in your hand. If you do, shuffle your library. So, mana fetching. Pretty good. Memory Lapse. Counter target spell. If that spell is countered this way, put it on top of its own library instead of into that player's graveyard. So they just kind of forgot about the spell, really. But they'll get it back next turn. Pretty useful, though, because then you can just use counter spell on your next turn. Werebear. The artwork on that's so good. So 1 green, 1 of any other. It's a human bear druid. It's kind of like man, bear, pig. You tap it to add green to your mana pool. And it has Threshold, so Werebear gets +3/+3 as long as there are 7 or more cards in your graveyard. That's pretty solid for a 2-drop. Yeah, it's only a 1/1 to begin with, but late game it doesn't punish you, because you're likely to have Threshold. And you get the mana ramp early game, so solid card. Annihilate, the most overcosted killing spell. Not ever, but you know, it's still overcosted. So 2 black, 3 of any other. It's at least instant speed, so can't complain that much. Destroy target non-black creature, it can't be regenerated, and you get the cantrip of draw a card. So most kill spells these days are 2 mana. Doomblade, for instance. But so you're essentially paying 3 mana to draw a card, but card draw is good enough to pay 3 mana for, in theory. Yeah, you can kind of make up your own mind on that one, whether you'd actually pay 5 mana for it or not. It's one of those that, you know, sometimes you wish you had it. Him to Turok. Target player discards 2 cards at random for 2 black. It's pretty good. Zealous Persecution. 1 black, 1 white. So it's an instant. Until end of turn, creatures you control get +1/+1, and creature your opponents control get -1/-1. Yeah, solid for 2 mana. And the rare is Brago King Eternal. So legendary creature spirit. 1 blue, 1 white, 2 of any other for a 2/4 flyer. When it deals combat damage to a player, exile any number of target non-land permanents you control, then return those cards to the battlefield under their owner's control. So you need extra blockers? Sure. You want to tap more artifacts? Go for it. And the foil is Coalition Honor Guard, which we've already talked about. I absolutely butchered that pack. Hooray. Squadron Hawk. So when it enters the battlefield, you may search your library for up to 3 cards named Squadron Hawk, reveal them, put them into your hand, then shuffle your library. Not something you necessarily want to do on turn 2, because then you would overdraw if you drew all 3, if you're playing 4. But still, it's good to give you like future turns worth of plays. And it's a 1/1 with flying, so yeah. Plague Witch. Discard a card. Oh, sorry. Jumping the gun there. Pay 1 black, tap it, and then discard a card. Target creature gets -1/-1 until end of turn. It's pretty solid on a 2-drop. It's only a 1/1, but this kind of more than makes up for that, really. Yeah. Dragon Egg. So when it dies, you get a dragon, surprisingly. Rancor. So creature enchantment for 1 green. Enchanted creature gets +2/+0 and has trample. When it's put into the graveyard from the battlefield, return it to its owner's hand. So you can just keep playing it and keep playing it. Pretty solid for 1. Wonder. Again, nice artwork on that. The artwork in this set is really, really good, and they have actually updated quite a lot of it too. In fact, Maelstrom Wanderer here is one of those cards, which also has really nice artwork. So this is a 4-drop, 2/2 flyer. As long as Wonder is in your graveyard and you control an island, creatures you control have flying. So yeah, you kind of want it in your graveyard. And it just gives everything else flying. It's great. Victimize. 1 black, 2 of any other. It's a sorcery. Choose 2 target creature cards in your graveyard. Sacrifice a creature. If you do, return the chosen card to the battlefield tapped. Yeah, really, really solid. You can sack a token to get back to, you know, huge guys or something, or just things that have continuous effects that will, you know, swing the game in your favor, basically. So, solid card. Shardless Agent. So, that's the rare. 1 blue, 1 green, 1 of any other. It's an artifact creature, the human rogue. It has Cascade as well. So when you cast it, you exile the cards until you hit a non-land that costs less than 3, and then play it. So it's pretty solid. 2/2, and I honestly think that you should play it upside down as well. Again, very nice artwork. And Second Thoughts is our foil. So it's an instant, exile target attacking creature and draw a card for 5. Yeah, nice. Again, maybe slightly overcosted, but if it costs less, it would possibly be broken. Yeah. So I think we're about halfway through. More Skulking Ghosts. Mog Fanatic. This is a nice one. 1 red for a 1/1 goblin. Sacrifice him and deal 1 damage to target creature or player. And the flavor text is great. I got it, yeah. As he probably hits the floor. Another Second Thoughts. Innocent Blood. 1 black for a sorcery. Each player sacrifices a creature. That can hurt if you're on the receiving end of that. The Honden of Life's Web. Ooh, Fact or Fiction. Very nice card. 1 blue, 3 vanilla. For an instant, reveal the top 5 cards of your library. An opponent separates those cards into 2 piles. Put 1 pile into your hand and the other into your graveyard. That is just such a good card. It still sees play. Yeah, I remember watching a tournament recently where the winner was using it. So yeah, very, very interesting card. Price of Progress. 1 red, 1 of any other. Instant. Deals damage to each player equal to twice the number of non-basic lands that player controls. Yeah. Kind of punishes you for using non-basic lands. And the rare is Control Magic. So 2 blue, 2 of any other, and enchant a creature. You control enchanted creature. 4 mana to steal whatever you like, basically. That can really screw over your opponents. And the foil is a Jungle Hollow, some of the dual lands. So we're getting to the point where we've seen a lot of the commons, and we'll probably just be skipping through the packs a bit quicker now. If there's anything really, really interesting, I'll just stop and talk about it. And Fog's pretty good. For an instant, prevent all combat damage that would be dealt this turn. You can save yourself. With the Llanowar Elves. Flamekin Zealot. So 1 white, 2 red, 1 of any other. Elemental Berserker. When it enters the battlefield, creatures you control get +1/+1 and gain haste until end of turn. Pretty good as a one-shot thing. Yeah, great to just swing in and yeah. Swords to Plowshares. Exile target creature. Its controller gains life equal to its power for 1 white. So if you need that extra life, you can use it on yourself. Otherwise, you can just exile one of your opponent's creatures that are putting the hurt on you and let them gain life. But they've lost a creature, so pretty good. Relic of Progenitus, an artifact for 1. So tap it, target player exiles a card from his or her graveyard, or pay 1 and exile Relic of Progenitus, exile all cards from all graveyards and draw a card. Yes. Yeah. Solid. You can't really say much about it. And you probably can, but yeah. Green Sun Zenith. This was a favourite of several people I used to play against. So 1 green and then X. So search your library for a green creature card with converted mana cost X or less. Put it onto the battlefield, then shuffle your library, and then shuffle Green Sun Zenith into its owner's library. Yeah, basically just pay 1 extra mana to search your library for a creature and put it straight into the battlefield. It's great. And Mog War Marshal is the foil. Managed to, there it goes. Shelter. So target creature you control gains protection from the colour of your choice until end of turn and draw a card. Pretty solid, really, for 2 mana. So you're cycling it and getting protection from a specific colour. Stupefying Touch. Again, nice artwork on it. So enchant creature, when Stupefying Touch enters the battlefield, draw a card, and enchanted creatures' activated abilities can't be activated. So again, 2 mana and you're cycling this, but you get the situational benefit of your opponent's activated abilities on a particular creature not being able to be used. If you're doing draft with this set, then it's fairly solid because a lot of creatures do have activate abilities. Carbonize. So Carbonize deals 3 damage to target creature or player. That creature can't be regenerated this turn. If the creature would die this turn, exile it instead. Pretty solid. There are a few things in this set that do have regenerate. So being able to just kill it off like that at instant speed for 3 mana. Pretty solid. White Mane Lion. So 1 white, 1 of any other. It's a cat, and it has flash, so play it at instant speed. When into the battlefield, return a creature you control to its owner's hand. It can situationally backfire on you, but in general, it's actually a really solid card. And you're already getting a 2/2 for 2, but the fact that it has flash as well, and for instance, you've declared a block, you can return that card that you've blocked with to your hand, not take combat damage, and be able to play something again. There's also quite a few things that have enter battlefield effects, which you might actually want to play again as well. So, solid card that has a lot of uses, really. Nausea. All creatures get -1/-1 until end of turn. So, weenie tokens just disappear. Another Ticking Gnomes. Phyrexian Ingester, so it has imprint. When into the battlefield, you may exile target non-token creature, and the Phyrexian Ingester gets +X/+Y, where X is the exiled creature card's power and Y is its toughness. So you're paying 7 mana, but you're getting potentially quite a lot of additional stats, depending on what you exile. And Deathrite Shaman is our rare. This is a very, very good card. So you can pay, it's hybrid mana cost, so you can pay either black or green. You can tap it to exile target land card from a graveyard and add 1 mana of any colour to your mana pool. Yeah, works pretty well. You can pay 1 black and tap it to exile target instant or sorcery card from a graveyard. Each opponent loses 2 life, so you don't even need to target your graveyard with these abilities. Or pay 1 green and tap it to exile target creature card from a graveyard and you gain 2 life. So it is a really, really solid card with just a lot of uses. It basically suits most situations. You will probably want to exile instants or sorceries from your opponent's graveyard if they have flashback, for instance, and they're also losing 2 life because of it. And it's not bad stats either because it's a 1/2, so it doesn't die to like the odd 1 damage. Yeah, really nice card. Dismal Backwater is our foil. Just gonna rearrange those. Benevolent Bodyguard. It's another one we haven't seen before. So sacrifice a Benevolent Bodyguard. Target creature you control gains protection from the colour of your choice until end of turn. Not too bad. I mean, 1 white for a 1/1 cleric, and you can sacrifice him to save your other guys. Una's Grace. So 1 blue, 2 of any other. Instant, target player draws a card and retrace. So you may cast this card from your graveyard by discarding a land card in addition to paying its other costs. So pretty good in late game as well. And it's not exiled from your graveyard when you use retrace. So you can use it again. And just keep drawing cards. Another werebear. Phantom Monster. 3/3 flyer for 4. Not much else to say. Flinttooth Boar. So 2 mana, 1 green, 1 of any other. It's a boar, and it gets +1/+1 as long as you control a mountain. You can also tap a mountain, and it gains haste until end of turn. So if you play it for 2, and you also happen to have a mountain open, you can swing in on the turn you play it for 3. It's not bad. Beetleback Chief. Again, I love the artwork on this. So 4 mana, 2 red, 2 of any other. When it enters the battlefield, put 2 1/1 red goblin creature tokens onto the battlefield. So basically for 4 mana, you're getting 4/4 worth of stats spread over 3 bodies. It's pretty good. Pyroblast. So this is 1/2 of the matching pair. Not quite matching. But there's also Hydroblast, which is also uncommon, which is the blue version. So this costs 1 red, and it's an instant. You choose 1. Counter target spell if it's blue, or destroy target permanent if it's blue. That is obviously situational, something you'd probably sideboard rather than play in main deck. But yeah, really nice card, considering, yeah, it's just countering blue. What's not to like? Okay, now I need to try and pronounce this one. Nevinyrral's Disc. Hopefully got that right. So it's an artifact that costs 4 mana. It enters the battlefield tapped. You can pay 1 and tap it to destroy all artifacts, creatures, and enchantments. That would be including itself. That is just a really nasty board wipe over the course of 2 turns. Yeah, solid. And Orcish Oriflamme is our foil. So attacking creatures you control get +1/+0. It's an enchantment, so it just sticks around. Not bad. Duress. Another White Mane Lion, another Flamekin, Young Pyromancer. So we haven't seen this one yet. Cost 2, 1 red, 1 of any other. It's a human shaman. When you cast an instant or sorcery spell, put a 1/1 red elemental creature token onto the battlefield. Yeah, you're just going to be generating quite a lot of elementals. It's a 2/1, so it's an alright body for 2 mana. But the fact that you're generally going to be playing, you know, instants, sorceries in red anyway to burn people down. So you're just getting that added benefit of a 1/1 body, which will just, again, do more damage over time. So, solid card. Cabal Therapy, another solid card. So, 1 black, sorcery. Name a non-land card. Target player reveals his or her hand and discards all cards with that name. And it has flashback. Sacrifice a creature is the cost, and you can do it again. So, I believe, did I open? I did. So, kind of works well with Duress. Target opponent reveals his or her hand. and you choose a non-creature, non-land card from it, and they discard it. You can then use Carbal Therapy with the knowledge that you now have of their hand, and make them discard even more stuff. It's, yeah, pretty solid. Sinkhole, this is the rare. This used to be a common. It's been bumped up to rare status. Destroy target land for 2 black. Yeah. Yeah, does exactly what it says on the tin again. It's a Ronseal Sinkhole. It can be very, very powerful. It can also just be, you know, destroy a land. Late game is not necessarily going to matter, but for tempo, it's pretty good. And Desperate Ravings is our foil. Going back to Sinkhole, actually, it is actually useful in this set, because there are some very powerful lands. So, just gonna flick through them quickly. Nimble Mongoose. Huh. He's eating a snake because he's nimble. 1 green for a mongoose. I would just finish there because I think that's worth it already. So it's a 1/1 with Shroud, so it can't be targeted by spells or abilities, and it has Threshold as well, so it gets +2/+2 when Threshold is active. For 1 mana, that's ridiculously good. A 3/3. Yeah. Field of Souls. 2 white, 2 of any other for an enchantment. White does have a lot of enchantments in this set. Whenever a non-token creature is put into your graveyard from the battlefield, put a 1/1 white spirit token creature with flying onto the battlefield. Yeah, so you just, whenever your guys die, you just, yeah, just getting more tokens back. Gaia's Blessing. So it's a sorcery, 2 mana. Target player shuffles up to 3 target cards from his or her graveyard into his or her library. Draw a card. And when it's put into your graveyard from the library, shuffle your graveyard into your library. So yeah, if this manages to get discarded from, or milled from your library, you just shuffle your graveyard back in. So it has quite a few uses actually, it's not bad. And Giant Solifuge is our rare. So again, hybrid mana cost. You can pay either red or green, and 2 of any other, for a 4/1 with Trample and Haste and Shroud. Not too bad, I suppose. I mean, the 1 toughness is going to be its weakness, but it has Shroud, so you're not going to get pinged off by any spells or abilities that actually target it. Although there are several board wipes in this set that, you know, don't actually require a target. But then again, most things would die to that, not just things with 1 toughness. And Keldon Champion is the foil. Getting a lot of dragon tokens as well. So Elite Vanguard, 1-drop, 2/1, solid. Abundant Growth, so you enchant a land. When it enters the battlefield, draw a card. An enchanted land has tap for 1 mana of any colour. It's pretty good for a 1-drop. The fact that you're just already cycling a card from it entering the battlefield, and then land fixing your land, basically. And Monk Idealist, so 3 mana for a 2/2 that returns an enchantment card from your graveyard to your hand. So recycling your enchantments if they've been destroyed, pretty useful. Soulcatcher, so 2 mana, Bird Soldier, so 1/1 flyer. whenever a creature with flying dies, put a 1/1 counter on Soul Catcher. So if your other stuff, or your opponent's stuff, with flying starts dying, this guy's just going to get bigger and bigger. Glare of Subdual. So 1 white, 1 green, 2 of any other. For an enchantment, tap an untapped creature you control. Tap target artifact or creature. It's great for token decks. You can essentially lock up the board by just tapping your weenie tokens or your 1/1 elves or whatever you've got to tie up their huge threats. And yeah, it's an enchantment, so you can do it as many times as you want. Really, really nice. And Seal of Strength. Sting's Gouger, it's one we haven't seen yet. 2 mana, 2/2 with Echo 4. So when it enters the battlefield, return target creature an opponent controls to its owner's hand. Yeah, I can see why it has Echo, because 2 mana, 2/2 that returns an opponent's creature. That's, yeah, that's nice. Mindless Automaton. So 4 mana, artifact creature construct. Enters the battlefield with 2 1/1 counters on it. And you can pay 1 and discard a card to put another 1/1 counter on it. And you can remove 2 1/1 counters from it to draw a card. So fairly useful. We Dragonauts. Yeah, could make several jokes about that, but not going to. 1 red, 1 blue, 1 of any other for a 1/3 flyer. And when you cast an instant or sorcery spell, we Dragonauts get +2/+0 until end of turn. So yeah, it becomes a 3/3 whenever you cast a spell. If you cast 2 spells, it obviously becomes a 5/3. Alright card. Another Blood Artist. Maze of Ith. So it's a land. Tap it to untap target attacking creature. Prevent all combat damage that would be dealt to it and dealt by that creature this turn. Yeah, it's an interesting one. Obviously doesn't tap for mana. But yeah, you can just stop blockers and things, so useful. And a foil Annihilate. So we should be due another mythic around about now, I would imagine. I hope. So far we haven't seen many. Man of War, haven't seen that one I don't think, or I probably have skipped over it. So when it enters the battlefield, return target creature to its owner's hand. Yeah, it's useful. 2/2 for 3. Yeah. Wirewood Symbiote. It's an insect creature. 1 mana, 1/1. Return an elf you control to its owner's hand is the cost, and you can untap target creature. Activate this ability only once each turn. Yeah, it's actually really nice because several of the elves do have enter battlefield effects, so you would actually want them to return to your hand to then play them again. And you also get the added benefit of, if you have attacked, you can untap one of your attackers to then be able to block in your next turn. Gitu Slinger, 3 mana with Echo 3 for a 2/2. When Gitu Slinger enters the battlefield, it deals 2 damage to target creature or player. Yeah, not bad. Deal 2 damage for 3. For a 2/2 body as well. Price of Progress. It deals damage to each player equal to twice the number of non-basic lands that player controls. We have actually seen that one. Diminishing Returns is the rare. So 2 blue, 2 of any other, sorcery. Each player shuffles his or her hand and graveyard into his or her library. You exile the top 10 cards of your library. Then each player draws up to 7 cards. Yeah, I mean, it does a lot for 4 mana. Honestly, you could probably talk about this card for a long time. Pretty solid, is all I'm going to say about it. Faith's Fetters is our foil. So 4 mana, enchantment aura. So enchant a permanent. When it enters the battlefield, you gain 4 life. An enchanted permanent can't attack or block, and its activated abilities can't be activated unless they are mana abilities. Yeah, I mean, you can stop your opponent's creatures with that, and gain some life out of it. It's pretty good. I mean, 4 mana seems a little bit excessive for that, but it's not bad. Shoreline Ranger, 6 mana, 3/4 with flying, and has island cycling, so pay 2, discard this card, search your library for an island card, reveal it, and put it into your hand. So it's good for just searching for that extra mana if this is stuck in your hand. Yeah. Harmonize, 4 mana, draw 3 cards. Yeah, sure, why not? Sengir Autocrat. So 4 mana for a human, 2/2. But you also get 3 0/1 Black Surf creature tokens when it enters the battlefield. And when it leaves the battlefield, you exile all surf tokens. Not just the ones generated by him, but all of them. So you're essentially getting 2/5 worth of stats for 4 mana spread over 4 bodies, which for black is pretty good actually, because you might actually want those serfs to die to activate other abilities that you have. Wall of Omens, 2 mana, 0/4 Defender. When it enters the battlefield, draw a card. So pretty solid actually. 2 mana, draw a card, and a blocker. You can't complain at that. Pyrokinesis is our rare. So 2 red, 4 of any other. For an instant, you may exile a red card from your hand rather than pay Pyrokinesis' mana cost. It deals 4 damage divided as you choose among any number of target creatures. So yeah, it's exile a card to deal 4 damage, because you're very rarely actually going to hardcast it. But yeah, not bad. And another Elephant Guide as our foil. And Rally the Peasants. As you can see, we are actually getting quite a few of these. Gravedigger. Another one where the this one wasn't updated, like the artwork, but I do like the old artwork on this. So it's a 4 mana, 2/2. When it enters the battlefield, you may return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. Yeah, it's pretty solid for 4 mana. You can get your big threat back if it's already died or whatever. Faithless Looting. 1 mana, draw 2 cards, then discard 2 cards. Yeah, pretty good. Pacifism. So it's a classic really. 2 mana, enchanted creature, can't attack or block. Yeah, just really solid card. And the artwork is hilarious as well, with the you've got the little deer and the other stuff. Mesa Enchantress. Whenever you cast an enchantment spell, you may draw a card. That is so good in white. If you're playing white-green, you probably want to play this. The extra card draw is amazing, considering how many enchantments you're going to have. Jetting Glasskite. So 6 mana, 4/4 with flying. Whenever it becomes the target of a spell or ability for the first time each turn, counter that spell or ability. Yeah, so they're gonna your opponent's going to have to waste at least 2 spells on it to get rid of it, because the first one's always going to be countered. But then again, it's only a 4/4. It basically just has like a little extra protection from spells and things like that, so it's a useful one. And Serendib Efreet is our rare. So 3 mana, 3/4 flying. At the beginning of your upkeep, it deals 1 damage to you, because it's a 3/4 flyer for only 3 mana. I think that's a pretty fair trade-off. And Roots is our foil. So enchant creature without flying when it enters the battlefield, tap enchanted creature, and the enchanted creature doesn't untap during its controller's untap step. So a nice way to lock down your opponent's creatures in green, which is normally the job of blue. Serra Angel. It's in like every set. It's like, when is Serra Angel not in a set? Torrent of Souls. So it's a hybrid mana cost. You either pay black or red, and then pay 4 as well. So return up to 1 target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield if black mana was spent to cast it, or creatures target player controls get +2/+0 and gain haste until end of turn if red was spent to cast it, or do both if both colours were spent to cast it. So it's an interesting card, really. Pretty solid, because you just return a creature from your graveyard to the battlefield and give it +2/+0 and haste if you use both red and black for 5 mana. That's pretty solid. Worn Power Stone, so a 3 mana artifact, enter the battlefield tapped, and you can tap it to add 2 colourless to your mana pool. It's a pretty solid card, it only costs 3. There are other artifacts in this set which cost less, which do similar things, but it's solid. You're adding, 2 mana, it's just good ramp. Gamble is the rare. This is a fun one. So 1 red to search your library for a card, put that card into your hand, and then discard a card at random, and then shuffle your library. So obviously you could potentially discard the card that you just searched for, or you could not, and be very happy about that. And Bloodbraid Elf is our foil. So 1 green, 1 red, 2 of any other, for a 3/2 elf with haste and cascade. So pretty solid card. You can, obviously with cascade, you'll be getting something else that will cost 3 or less, that you can just instantly cast. So pretty good. Getting a lot of Keldon Marauders. Another Pacifism. Another. Oh, we haven't actually seen Shaman of the Pack. This is, really nice card for 3 mana. So 1 green, 1 black, 1 of any other. For an Elf Shaman, it's a 3/2. When it enters the battlefield, target opponent loses life equal to the number of elves you control. It's the kind of card that will every once in a while just straight up win you a game by playing it. It's like, oh, I have like 15 elves. It's 15 damage. Other times, it'll just like nibble away at your opponent's life total. But as we saw earlier, there are cards that put elves back into your hand from play, so you get the enter battlefield effect again. So very, very nice card. Timberwatch Elf, speaking of elves, so 3 mana, it's a 1/2, and you can tap it. So target creature gets +X until end of turn, where X is the number of elves on the battlefield. Not just under your control, but on the battlefield. Really nice, actually. You just give one guy just a huge buff, just by tapping it. Ooh. Did anybody else just see that? Because let's just talk about quiet speculation for a while and make you wait. So 2 mana sorcery. Search target player's library for up to 3 cards with flashback and put them into that player's graveyard. Then the player shuffles his or her library. Yeah, very nice. If you're playing red-blue, you've got a lot of flashback in that, in this set. So, yeah, nice card. And, oh, it's a Jace the Mind Sculptor. So, yeah, I mean, this is apparently, a lot of players say this is the best Planeswalker that has ever been printed. He is solid, like, he is amazing, really. Like, 4 mana, 3 loyalty. His +2 is look at the top card of target player's library. You may put that card on the bottom of that player's library. That's nice. I mean, you can deny your opponent a draw, or, you know, if it's a land card and they're already flush with land, you can keep it on top of their library so they have a dead draw for the next turn. You can do it to yourself to cycle cards. It's excellent. His 0 is draw 3 cards, then put 2 cards from your hand on top of your library in any order. Extra card draw is always nice. His -1 is return target creature to its owner's hand. You're not generally going to be using the minuses on Jace, but that is situationally very, very nice to be able to just bounce. And his -12, exile all cards from target player's library, then that player shuffles his or her hand into his or her library. Yeah, so puts them on a very short clock to try and win the game, if you actually manage to get the -12 off. Saying that, everybody will probably just aim everything they have at Jace as soon as it hits the table, unless they think they can win before his benefits of being able to cycle cards and sort of maybe not guarantee what you're going to draw, but, you know, it can affect what you're going to draw as well, with his +2. So, extremely nice card, and very expensive as well. And a bit of an anticlimax, but Screeching Scab is our foil. I'm just happy about Jace now. In theory, nobody really likes Jace, because he's just dominated the Planeswalker scene for so long. Especially with the new printing, like in Shadows, and he already had one in Standard, and yeah, people are tired of Jace. But that card is excellent. So let's just flick through these. Mistral Charger, I don't think, might have, no. It's a Pegasus. Who doesn't like Pegasi? I assume it's Pegasi, not Pegasuses. We'll go with Pegasi. Juggernaut. So 4 mana artifact creature. It's a 5/3. It attacks each turn if able, and it can't be blocked by walls because it's a Juggernaut and just stomps through walls. As an artifact creature, it's pretty good. basically just a 5/3 for 4 that has to attack, and has the added benefit of not being stopped by walls. Another Blood Braid Elf, Ashnod's Altar. So sacrifice a creature and add 2 colourless to your mana pool for 3 mana that just stays in play. Pretty good. Good ramp. If you have wingy guys or tokens, or just really need that extra mana and don't mind sacrificing a bigger dude. Necropotence, another mythic. Yeah, I like this card. This card kind of broke the game at one point, but now it's not so bad. So it costs 3 black. It's an enchantment. You skip your draw step, and whenever you discard a card, exile that card from your graveyard. But you can pay 1 life, exile the top card of your library face down, put that card into your hand at the beginning of your next end step. So you can pay as much life as you want to basically get that many cards, and you just get them in your hand at the beginning of your next end step. So yeah, it's really nice. It can just straight up win you games. That's just all you can say about it, really. It will win you games just from the card draw alone. Really nice card. Serendip Efreet is our first foil rare. Ooh, and thinking about it, I should probably put Necropotence in the mythic pile. So, not many left, but we've had some really nice stuff so far. Let's hope we can finish with some good stuff too. Armadillo Cloak, I love this card. Mostly because of nostalgia. I started playing around the time of Invasion, and I distinctly remember this card, the old artwork, unfortunately. I actually prefer the old artwork to this one. This one's nice, but I just prefer the old one. So this, I remember pulling it from one of my first ever packs, if not the first ever pack I opened. So yeah, memories. It's not a bad card either. I mean, 1 white, 1 green, 1 of any other, to enchant a creature and give it +2/+2 and trample, and you gain life equal to however much damage it deals. So it's solid. Back in the day, I don't think it saw much play in our sort of area, but still, nostalgia. It's nice. With a Soul Catcher, Jetting Glasskite, Isochron Scepter is the rare. So 2 mana artifact, has imprint, so when it enters the battlefield, exile an instant card with converted mana cost 2 or less from your hand, and you can pay 2 and tap this, and you may copy the exiled card. If you do, you may cast the copy without paying its mana cost. So it's essentially giving you just unlimited versions of the spell that you imprinted. It's really nice. Phantom Monster is the foil. So 4 mana 3/3 with flying. So the penultimate pack. Let's try not to destroy the cards again. The Tragic Slip. Roar of the Worm, 7 mana, sorcery, put a 6/6 green worm creature token onto the battlefield, and it also has a flashback of 4. So for 11 mana total, you can get 2 6/6s. That's not bad, really. If you can't really complain. It's a little slow, but yeah. If it just gets discarded without you playing it, you can just 4 mana 6/6. That's nice. Necrotal. So it's a 2/1 assassin for 4 mana, 2 black, 2 of any other. Has first strike, and when it enters the battlefield, destroy target non-artifact, non-black creature. That creature can't be regenerated. Yeah, pretty nice. Just enter the battlefield, kill something that isn't black or an artifact, which can't be regenerated. And then you've also got first strike on a 2/1, which is situationally useful. Brainstorming. So 1 blue to draw 3 cards, then put 2 cards from your hand on top of your library in any order. That is, yeah, really nice, actually. An extra draw for the turn, and also you know what's coming next as well, so you can plan, which blue players love. Crater Hellion is our rare, so it's a 6 mana, 2 red, 4 of any other, a Hellion Beast, 6/6. Also has Echo though, so you will need to pay the Echo cost on your next turn as well, or you sacrifice it. But when it enters the battlefield, deal 4 damage to each other creature. So you're basically paying 6 mana for a board wipe, which you can then keep in play as a 6/6. That is really solid. And if you somehow manage to cheat it in without paying the 6 mana, you're probably not going to pay the Echo before that. So you're getting a cheap, like 4 damage board wipe, which, you know, you can then you can block with on your turn as well. So yeah, it's nice. There's also ways that if you manage to lose control of it and then bring it back, you don't have to pay the Echo cost. So there's, yeah, it's really nice. And Invigorate is our foil. I keep forgetting the word foil. I don't know why, but you've probably noticed throughout the whole video. So 3 mana, instant. We've already gone through this one, actually. And the last pack, fingers crossed for something really nice. Although, to be fair, even if we don't get, you know, a really nice mythic or something like that, we've had some very nice rares, and well, the 3 mythics we have had are actually useful mythics, not like, you know, the bad mythics. Plague Witch, I think we've gone through that already. Thornwheel Archer. Eyeblight's Ending, destroy target non-elf creature, that's a nice one. So 3 mana, and it's a tribal instant. That's pretty nice. Yeah. Another Mindless Automaton. Hydroblast. So we saw Pyroblast earlier. This is Hydroblast, the other half of the dual card kind of thing. So choose 1, counter target spell if it's red, or destroy target permanent if it's red, for 1 blue. So it's the exact opposite of Pyroblast, which was obviously 1 red for destroy, the same but blue. Regal Force. So there's a couple of creatures in the set that are like 3 of a particular colour and then 4 of any other. And this is one of them. So it's a 5/5 for 7 mana. It's an elemental creature, and when it enters the battlefield, draw a card for each green creature you control, which can be pretty powerful. And you're not going to say no to card draw, right? Card advantage can be everything in this game, so yeah, really, really nice. And Dream Twist is our final foil. So target player puts the top 3 cards of his or her library into his or her graveyard, and it has a flashback of 2. So pretty nice. So yeah, got quite a few nice foils. Should be 24 of them, considering there's 1 in each pack. Mythics, yeah, really can't complain. Necropotence, a very nice Jace, and a Maelstrom Wanderer, which, yeah, I'm actually tempted to use in Commander. Anyway, So all the cards you've seen, and also the rest of the set, can be bought and sold on our website, bigorbitcards.co.uk. And please comment on the video, like it, and subscribe. So thanks for watching. I've been Chris, and will probably continue to be so. And we'll see you next time. Thank you very much.